You didn't come here searching for answers. In fact, maybe you didn't even know there was a question. But something drew you in. A silent intuition. A feeling in your chest. A calling you can't explain with logic. And somehow, when you heard the seventh seal, something inside you reacted. Not as someone discovering something new, but as someone remembering something ancient. There are things we don't learn. We simply awaken to them. And if you're here, it's because something within you is awakening, a part of your soul that was asleep, but never forgot who you are. It's as if life is finally starting to align with something that has always existed within you. But now, it finally takes shape, name, and direction. The seventh seal is not a mystery meant to be decoded by everyone. It doesn't shout to draw attention. It whispers to those who are ready. It doesn't manifest itself to the masses. It reaches those who have faced enough to recognize that this world offers too many answers and too little truth. Maybe you've always felt strange, out of place, always a little ahead, always a little apart. And now you begin to understand why. You were being prepared, shaped, silenced, refined. What once seemed like abandonment now reveals itself as alignment. The seventh seal is not coming. It is opening within you. My name is George, and if this message found your heart, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share it with someone who also needs to remember who they are. The seal has opened. Now is the time to awaken. You are not reading or listening to this by chance. There are moments when life seems to push you towards something without any rational explanation. A video, a phrase, a deep feeling. None of this is coincidence. This calling you feel, this sense that something is about to change, is real. You are not being guided toward just any content. You are being reminded of what you have always carried within yourself. Some callings do not happen visibly. They arise in the silence of the soul, in the discomfort of sleepless nights, in the unanswered questions that keep returning. You've always felt there was something different, an energy that set you apart from the crowd, even when you tried to fit in. That feeling wasn't confusion, it was anticipation. Your soul has always been ahead of its time. Many live their lives without realizing they are part of something greater. But you felt it, even without understanding, even without proof. That kind of inner restlessness that never fully went away. Now you begin to understand. It wasn't emptiness, it was a warning, a sign, the arrival of something about to manifest. And only now are you ready to receive it. The seventh seal doesn't come with noise or spectacle. It arrives slowly, like a wind shifting the direction of things. It doesn't reveal itself to just anyone. It opens in those who have been prepared through pain, through waiting, through the repeat of cycles that once seemed meaningless. If you are here now, it's because the prophecy has finally found space within you. You have reached the point of awakening. This calling is not an ordinary invitation. It is a reminder. You don't need to look outside for what already pulses within. Your path up to now hasn't been random. Every loss, every silence, every new beginning was building the foundation for the moment when you would stop seeking approval and start remembering who you are. And now, finally, everything begins to align. That feeling of not belonging that followed you for so long wasn't your flaw. It was proof that your soul already knew something the world around you hadn't yet reached. While many chased after external achievements, you were being called inward, to dig deeper, to strip away everything that wasn't true. Because the seal only opens for the authentic. You are not fragile for feeling deeply. You are not strange for seeing what others fail to notice. Those traits are not flaws. They are signs. They are codes that connect you to the mission now beginning to reveal itself. And it doesn't matter if you've doubted yourself, if you thought you were wasting time, or if you felt lost. All of that was part of the journey too. The seal doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. And now that you are present, conscious, and awake, it begins to move. You are not being called to change who you are, but to remember who you have always been. The seal is opening not to turn you into someone else, but to reveal the truth that has always lived within you. Many people hear the number 7 and think end, but spiritually, it has never meant conclusion. 7 represents something much deeper, the moment when all the parts of your life, your body, your mind, your soul, your will, and your time, finally begin to move in the same direction. It's not the end of the journey. It's the alignment with what has always been yours. Imagine years spent living a life that doesn't match what you feel inside, having reactions you can't explain, feeling emotions you can't understand, staring into mirrors and not recognizing yourself. And then, one day, something changes. An invisible piece finally fits. You can't quite explain what happened, but you feel that now, at last, you're walking with the wind at your back. That's what 7 brings. Clarity. Not external clarity, but internal. A kind of certainty that doesn't need to be spoken, because it vibrates in every decision you make. The old version of you begins to say goodbye. Not with pain, but with gratitude. And the new version starts to emerge with more strength, more peace, more awareness. The 7th seal doesn't arrive to cause confusion. It arrives to reveal not only what surrounds you, but who you are. And that is the most powerful awakening of all. Because once a person recognizes themselves, they stop chasing what never made sense and start walking with confidence. The seal is that moment when you stop sabotaging yourself and begin to accept yourself. While some are still waiting to become perfect before living their destiny, the chosen one understands that transformation doesn't require perfection. It requires truth. The 7 marks the precise point where you cross the invisible portal between who you were and who you are ready to become, without drama, without spectacle, just with the unshakable knowing that now is the time. This seal doesn't prepare you for fame, for spotlights, or for applause. It prepares you to sustain what you were born to carry. Because living with purpose requires structure, and the time that seemed lost in waiting was, in truth, the time when your foundation was being built. Now it is ready, and that is why the seal opens. If everything seems to finally be falling into place, don't ignore it. This is not luck nor coincidence. It is destiny reaching you, because you are now aligned enough to receive it. The 7th seal is recognition. And the fact that you are feeling this right now is proof that your frequency has risen. You didn't arrive late, you arrived awake. There are moments when it feels like your entire life is collapsing. The cycles repeat, the doors close, and you wonder if you're being punished for something you don't even know about. But today, maybe for the first time, you begin to understand. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. What was breaking you was, in truth, shaping you to carry what no one else could bear. Not everyone understands what it means to be reborn in silence. To have to get up alone, without applause, without comfort, relying only on the faith that somehow it all made sense, even when it didn't feel that way. The long nights, the endless restarts, the relationships that crumbled, all of it was refinement. Because one who carries a seal like the 7th cannot be built carelessly. They need deep foundations. Most people wait for external signs to believe they are being called. But the true seal opens within those who have lived for years with that inner certainty, even when the world outside said otherwise. You are not strong because you never fell. You are strong because you fell, broke, cried, and still rose again. Every season in which you felt forgotten was, in reality, training. When no one saw you, heaven was watching. When everything seemed stagnant, the invisible was being activated. Every apparent delay was careful preparation, so that you could sustain what's coming without losing yourself in the process. Those who carry the seventh seal are different. They don't live by shortcuts. They know that pain builds, silence reveals, and time teaches. They didn't arrive here by accident. They came with a purpose so specific that even their detours were part of the route. Nothing was wasted. You may not have understood it before, but now you begin to see. Every phase made you stronger, more awake, more aligned with something the world still doesn't understand. But you do. Deep down, you've always known there was a greater reason for everything. And now, that reason is rising to the surface. The transition from suffering to purpose doesn't happen suddenly. It's like waking from a long sleep and realizing that everything has changed, including you. The pains that once marked you no longer define you. The people who used to belittle you no longer hold power. The voices that once confused you have now fallen silent. All that remains is your truth. This is the turning point, the place where you stop asking permission to be who you are, where you recognize that what seemed like an end was actually a beginning. And it's precisely at that point that the seal opens, when you are finally capable of carrying with maturity what once was just a distant promise. You were carved in silence for this moment. And now that you are aware of everything you've endured, you can see that none of it was in vain. Every pain had a purpose. Every loss taught a lesson. Every delay had its timing. Everything worked together so that now, in this instant, you're ready to live. Not just to survive, but to fulfill your mission. The true healing, remembering who you've always been. Most people think healing means reinventing yourself, becoming someone new. But true healing goes much deeper. It's a return to who you've always been, before the fear, before the rejection, before the wounds. The seventh seal doesn't come to turn you into something new. It comes to reconnect you with your essence, with the part of you that always knew who you were, even when no one else could see it. You spent a lifetime trying to please, trying to fit into molds that were never shaped for you. You repressed your truth to maintain peace. You silenced your intuition so as not to disturb others. But now, something within you refuses to stay asleep. The truth that once lay buried is rising to the surface, and with it comes a clarity so strong that it's impossible to ignore. This seal brings you back to your center. You begin to see yourself with clearer eyes. The masks fall away. Other people's expectations lose their value. You realize you no longer need to justify being who you are. More than that, you realize your true self is the missing key that makes everything finally make sense. When healing begins, it shakes everything. You drift away from distractions. You lose interest in shallow spaces. You start caring about things you once overlooked. Your energy changes. Your presence changes. And inevitably, your relationships change too. Not everyone will understand this new version of you. But this version is real, and it will no longer hide. It's not about perfection. It's about truth. When you embrace your essence, your insecurities shrink. Fear loses its grip. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You only want to live aligned with what feels real. And this inner honesty is what attracts the right opportunities, the right people, and the right path. This stage of the journey is powerful because it depends on nothing external. You may be alone, without recognition, without validation, and yet you feel peace. Because you know, beyond all doubt, that you are where you are meant to be, being who you were always meant to be. That certainty is the healing. The seal manifests in this quiet awareness. It doesn't require rituals or grand signs. It reveals itself when you look in the mirror, and for the first time don't feel the need to change anything in order to love yourself. You simply accept. And that acceptance is liberating. It's what opens the path for everything that comes next. Now you walk with lightness. Not because the path is easier, but because you are whole. And when someone is whole, there's no need to rush, only to walk with confidence. That is the energy of the seventh seal. Integrity, clarity, purpose, and peace. You didn't become someone new. You finally remembered who you are. There is a group of people who have always felt different. From an early age, they carry a sense of not belonging. They feel more than others, see beyond what is visible to the eyes. They don't follow the usual rhythm, nor do they easily conform. These people have spent their lives walking in the shadows, observing in silence, waiting for something they couldn't even name. But now, that something is beginning to reveal itself. These are the ones called the hidden ones. Not because they are mysterious, but because they were concealed for a time. They were not understood, often rejected, or labeled as too sensitive, too strange, too intense. But the time of invisibility is ending. The seventh seal not only awakens these individuals, it positions them. They are not supporting characters. They are key pieces in the change that is approaching. The difference in these people doesn't lie in titles or status. It lies in frequency. They operate on another level of sensitivity and awareness. They have always known what was true, even without proof. They have intuited what was coming, even when no one believed. Now this inner compass begins to make sense, and as the seal opens, they begin to recognize one another. Perhaps you are one of them. Have you ever felt your energy shift the atmosphere, even without saying a word? Have you noticed that some people feel uncomfortable near you, for no apparent reason? That happens because your presence carries a vibration that disarms masks. And when the seal activates, that vibration intensifies. You don't need to make an effort. All you have to do is be who you are. This isn't about superiority. It's about awareness. The hidden ones were prepared for this time. Years of silence, isolation, inner pain, all of it refined their soul so that when the right moment came, they could influence without having to impose. And that moment has arrived. The souls that walked through darkness are now being called to shine, not out of vanity, but out of necessity. The world is in transition. Old structures are collapsing. Broken systems are being exposed. And those who were trained in the unseen are now the voices that will guide others, not through speeches, but through example, through truth in their eyes, through calm in chaos, through steadiness born from pain, transformed into wisdom. If you are one of the hidden ones, understand this. Your time has come. You no longer need to hide nor dim your light to be accepted. Your authenticity is what will heal. Your energy is what will balance. You don't need to force your place. The seal is opening the path for you to step into the position that was always yours. Now, everything begins to fall into place. Have you ever felt stuck in a phase of life as if everything were moving in slow motion? For years you've grown inside, fought invisible battles, evolved unnoticed. And now, suddenly, everything starts to move. The things that once seemed blocked begin to flow. Doors open. Time, which once felt stagnant, now races forward. This is not coincidence. It's the effect of the activation of the seventh seal. The seal doesn't only awaken, it accelerates. When your energy aligns with your purpose, life begins to respond with intensity. What used to be difficult now flows effortlessly. Opportunities that once required struggle now simply appear. This happens because you are no longer trying to force your path. You're walking at the right rhythm, in the right direction. And time, which once tested you, now propels you. This acceleration can be disorienting. You may feel overwhelmed, as if everything is spinning beyond your control. But that is part of the process. Life is reorganizing itself around you to reflect who you have become. People leave. New connections appear. Unexpected situations unfold. Everything feels messy. But it's a necessary chaos, like a renovation that precedes great transformation. It's natural to feel strong emotions during this time. Old habits stop making sense. Things that once seemed important no longer fit. You are changing, and the world is changing with you. This is proof that the seal is not just an abstract idea. It's a spiritual reality that affects your structure, your choices, your timeline. Acceleration happens because now you are ready. You've endured long inner processes, been refined through waiting, learned the value of patience and faith. The universe recognizes this readiness and therefore responds with movement. It's not magic, it's synchronicity. Preparation has finally met its perfect timing. And when that happens, nothing can stop progress. This moment requires discernment. With so much happening at once, it's essential to stay focused on what truly matters. Not everything that appears is meant to be accepted. Not every open door leads to the right destination. That's why your inner connection must be even stronger now, because it's what will filter what is advancement and what is distraction. You don't need to rush. Acceleration doesn't require speed. It requires presence. Just walk in truth, one step at a time, listening to your heart. Because now, what comes to you is no longer meant to test you. It's meant to align you. And that alignment is the clear sign that the seventh seal has broken. Not on the outside, but within. There comes a moment when everything changes quietly. Not because the world around you has become different, but because you have become someone who finally sees yourself with clarity. What once confused you now reveals itself. What once controlled you no longer has access. You're no longer the same person. And that's not pride, it's awareness. For a long time you survived as limited versions of yourself, trying to please, trying to fit in, trying to understand why you felt so much. But now you see that it was all part of your preparation. Every challenge that seemed to delay you was actually forging an inner stability that cannot be taught. And it's from that depth that your spiritual authority is born. This authority has nothing to do with titles, religion, or recognition. It arises when you stop abandoning yourself. When you decide to follow your intuition without asking for approval. When you learn to take a stand without fighting. When you understand that your presence, even in silence, can change the atmosphere of an entire environment. This isn't arrogance. It's aligned energy. The greatest power of an awakened person isn't what they say. It's what they transmit. You don't need to explain who you are. Your posture reveals it. Your vibration announces it. People can feel your change, even if they don't understand it. Some will distance themselves. Others will draw closer. That's to be expected. Because your new frequency no longer adjusts to what you once tolerated. You've become someone your old self needed to meet. Someone stable, grounded, who knows when to speak and when to stay silent. Who understands boundaries but no longer lives confined by them. This version of you isn't perfect. It's honest. And it's precisely that honesty that signals to the universe that you're ready to live with purpose. The spiritual authority you now carry is the reflection of your inner maturity. It doesn't shout. It doesn't force. It doesn't impose. It simply is. And by existing, it transforms. You don't need to convince anyone. You only need to be. Because when the seal breaks, you become more than a seeker, you become the answer. This is the true beginning of your influence, not because you want to be a leader, guide, or master, but because your authenticity is rare. And when someone who has lived through what you've lived decides not to hide anymore, life begins to reorganize itself around that decision. Now you are ready to walk firmly, not to be better than anyone, but to live exactly as you were created to live. There comes a time when everything within you aligns, not because the world stopped, but because you stopped losing yourself in versions that no longer represented you. The seventh seal was not just a revelation about something spiritual and distant. It was the revelation of who you are, and who you have always been. You're not watching this out of curiosity. Something within you recognized every word as a mirror. This awakening isn't theory, nor poetry. It's the confirmation that your soul has crossed deserts no one saw, fought silent battles few would understand, and still made it here, firm, conscious, awake. The world that shaped you no longer defines you. The old patterns, the inherited pain, the repeated cycles, all of that is dissolving because you made a decision to stop sleeping. That alone is an act of courage. The seal breaks when someone chooses to live in truth, even if it means leaving behind everything that once felt safe. You are now at another level of awareness. You perceive things with more sharpness. You feel the weight of words, understand the signs, respect the timing, and walk with more lightness. That is the mark of someone who has walked through their own chaos and emerged whole. Transformation is no longer a promise, it's reality. Now share in the comments your experience, your vision, or what you're going through at this moment. Your voice might echo where others need to hear it. And perhaps just as you were touched by this message, someone else may recognize themselves in your words too. If this journey made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and activate the bell so you won't miss the next messages. Thank you for walking with me until now. We'll meet again in the next video, and until then, keep awakening.